There comes a moment in every person's life when they stand face to face with a mountain of fear, a mountain of uncertainty, a mountain that seems too large to overcome. Many people spend their days talking about the mountain, describing its size, its strength, and its impossibility. Yet true faith takes a different approach. Faith does not magnify the obstacle. Faith magnifies the promise. The greatest victories are often preceded by courageous words spoken in the middle of impossible circumstances. When everything appears to be against you, your words reveal what you truly believe. Will you speak defeat or will you speak faith? Will you agree with the problem or will you agree with the promise? Mountain-moving faith begins when you stop allowing your circumstances to dictate your speech and start allowing truth, hope, and conviction to shape every word that leaves your mouth. The mountains may still be standing today, but the moment faith speaks, change begins to move in the unseen realm. Faith becomes visible long before circumstances begin to change. It reveals itself through the words a person chooses to speak in moments of pressure, uncertainty, and challenge. When everything seems to be going wrong, most people naturally begin speaking about their fears, frustrations, and limitations. They describe the size of the obstacle, the difficulty of the situation, and the reasons why success seems impossible. Yet genuine faith operates differently. Faith does not ignore reality, but neither does it allow reality to become the final authority. Instead, faith chooses words that reflect confidence, expectation, and hope, even when visible evidence appears absent. Every day, people are engaged in conversations that shape their outlook on life. The words spoken repeatedly have a powerful influence on the mind and heart. Negative words create an atmosphere of defeat and discouragement, while faith-filled words create an atmosphere of confidence and expectation. This is why the language a person uses is so important. Words are more than sounds. They are expressions of belief. They reveal what is happening internally. When someone continually speaks defeat, they strengthen the hold that defeat has on their thinking. But when someone consistently speaks faith, they strengthen their expectation for positive change. Consider how often people unknowingly reinforce their own limitations. They say things like, "Nothing ever works out for me," "I will never get through this," or "Things are only getting worse." Such statements may seem harmless, but over time they shape attitudes and expectations. The mind begins to accept these declarations as truth, and discouragement grows stronger. Faith challenges this pattern by introducing a different perspective. Faith says that circumstances can change, that obstacles can be overcome, and that what seems impossible today may become possible tomorrow. This does not mean pretending that problems do not exist. Faith is not denial. Faith acknowledges the challenge while refusing to surrender to it. It recognizes the mountain, but chooses not to spend all its energy talking about how large the mountain is. Instead, it focuses on the possibility of movement, progress, and breakthrough. Faith-filled words shift attention away from fear and toward expectation. They remind the heart that difficulties are temporary and that no situation remains the same forever. There is also something powerful about speaking faith during moments when nothing appears to be changing. Anyone can speak positively after the breakthrough has already arrived. The true test comes when the answer has not yet appeared, when the challenge remains, and when patience is required. In those moments, words become a declaration of trust rather than a reaction to circumstances. Speaking faith in difficult seasons develops inner strength and resilience. It prevents discouragement from taking root and helps maintain focus on possibilities rather than limitations. The power of spoken faith is not found in empty repetition, but in conviction. Words become powerful when they are connected to genuine belief. As faith grows within the heart, it naturally begins to influence speech. Those words then reinforce confidence, courage, and perseverance. Over time, a cycle is created. Faith shapes words, words strengthen faith, and strengthened faith produces greater endurance. This is why speaking faith matters. Long before the mountain moves, faith begins its work within the person who dares to speak with confidence, expectation, and unwavering belief. Many people spend a significant portion of their lives talking about what is wrong. They discuss their obstacles, their disappointments, their failures, and the circumstances that seem to stand in their way. While there is nothing wrong with acknowledging reality, there is a difference between recognizing a problem and becoming completely consumed by it. The more attention people give to their difficulties, the larger those difficulties often appear. Eventually, their words begin to reflect hopelessness instead of expectation, and limitation instead of possibility. Faith calls for a different approach. It challenges individuals to align their words with promise rather than allowing their speech to be controlled by problems. Every challenge presents two voices competing for attention. One voice focuses entirely on the obstacle. It points out every reason why success is unlikely. It highlights past failures, current difficulties, and future uncertainties. The other voice focuses on possibility. It sees beyond the present moment and believes that change can occur even when no immediate evidence is visible. The direction a person chooses often depends on which voice they allow to influence their speech. Words have a way of strengthening whatever receives their attention. If someone continually talks about defeat, defeat becomes more convincing. If someone continually speaks with expectation, hope becomes stronger. One of the greatest dangers of focusing exclusively on problems is that it creates a mindset that expects failure. Expectations shape behavior. When people believe nothing will improve, they often stop trying. They stop looking for opportunities, stop pursuing solutions, and stop believing that progress is possible. Their words gradually build a mental framework that limits their vision. They become trapped not only by external circumstances, but also by the beliefs they have repeated to themselves for so long. Faith refuses to allow problems to define the future. It recognizes that present circumstances are temporary and that current challenges do not necessarily determine final outcomes. A person operating in faith may still face difficulties, setbacks, and delays, but they refuse to allow those realities to become permanent conclusions. Instead of speaking as though the situation will never change, they maintain an attitude of expectation. They understand that today's challenge is only part of the story, not the entire story. This perspective becomes especially important during seasons of waiting. When progress seems slow and answers appear delayed, it is easy to become discouraged. Negative words often feel natural because they reflect immediate emotions. However, faith requires discipline. It chooses words carefully, understanding that speech influences perspective. Rather than constantly repeating everything that is wrong, faith intentionally focuses on what is possible. It speaks with confidence that breakthroughs can come, doors can open, and circumstances can shift. Aligning words with promise does not mean ignoring facts or pretending difficulties do not exist. It means refusing to let difficulties become the dominant message. Problems may describe the present, but they do not have to dictate the future. Faith keeps looking beyond current limitations toward future possibilities. It maintains hope when others become discouraged and continues expecting positive outcomes when circumstances suggest otherwise. The language of faith is rooted in expectation. It believes that obstacles can be overcome, that solutions can emerge, and that growth can occur even in difficult seasons. By choosing to speak according to promise rather than constantly magnifying problems, people develop resilience, confidence, and perseverance. They learn to see beyond temporary setbacks and maintain a vision for what is still possible. In this way, their words become a source of strength rather than a reflection of defeat, allowing them to move forward with hope, even when the road ahead remains uncertain. One of the most challenging aspects of faith is learning to believe before there is any visible evidence that things are changing. Human nature prefers certainty. Most people want to see results before they commit to confidence, and they want proof before they fully believe. It is easy to speak positively when circumstances are favorable and when success is already within sight. The real test comes when nothing appears to be happening, when answers seem delayed, and when the situation looks exactly the same as it did yesterday. This is where faith separates itself from ordinary thinking. Faith speaks before it sees. It maintains confidence even when visible evidence is absent. Many of life's greatest breakthroughs begin in unseen ways. Long before a change becomes visible, important developments are often taking place beneath the surface. A seed planted in the ground does not immediately reveal its growth. For a period of time, nothing appears different. To an observer, it may seem as though nothing is happening at all. Yet beneath the soil, roots are forming, strength is developing, and growth is quietly taking place. Faith operates with a similar understanding. It believes that progress can occur even when it cannot yet be seen. People often become discouraged because they judge every situation solely by what is visible in the present moment. If they do not see immediate improvement, they assume nothing is changing. If they do not receive instant results, they conclude that their efforts are pointless. This mindset can lead to frustration and disappointment. Faith offers a different perspective. It understands that not everything valuable is immediately visible. Some of the most important transformations occur gradually and quietly before they eventually become evident. Speaking before seeing requires courage because it means refusing to let circumstances dictate your beliefs. When challenges persist, fear often attempts to dominate the conversation. Fear says that nothing will improve. Fear predicts failure and magnifies every obstacle. If a person listens only to what fear says, their words will soon reflect discouragement and doubt. Faith chooses a different response. It acknowledges the difficulty, but refuses to accept defeat as the final outcome. It continues to speak with expectation because it believes that present circumstances are not permanent. This kind of faith is not based on wishful thinking or blind optimism. It is rooted in conviction. It is the ability to remain confident even when answers have not yet arrived. A person walking in faith understands that temporary delays do not mean permanent denial. They recognize that timing and progress do not always occur according to human expectations. Because of this understanding, they continue to speak words of hope, confidence, and expectation even during uncertain seasons. History is filled with examples of individuals who achieved remarkable outcomes because they refused to surrender their belief before seeing results. They continued moving forward when others quit. They maintained confidence when others became discouraged. Their success was often the result of persistence during seasons when visible evidence was limited or non-existent. What set them apart was not the absence of challenges, but their refusal to allow those challenges to determine their expectations. Faith that speaks before it sees develops endurance. It strengthens character and teaches patience. It prevents people from giving up too soon and helps them remain focused on possibilities rather than limitations. Every time a person chooses faith-filled words instead of fearful ones, they reinforce confidence within themselves. They remind their hearts that circumstances can change, opportunities can emerge, and breakthroughs can occur. Long before the evidence appears, faith has already decided to believe. Long before the mountain moves, faith has already begun speaking as though movement is possible. That unwavering confidence is what enables people to persevere until what they hoped for eventually becomes reality. Every person encounters moments when doubt and fear attempt to take control of their thoughts. No matter how confident, experienced, or determined someone may be, there are seasons when uncertainty seems overwhelming. Challenges arise unexpectedly. Plans do not unfold as anticipated, and circumstances appear far more difficult than imagined. During these moments, doubt begins asking questions that are difficult to answer. It whispers that success may never come, that change may never happen, and that the obstacles ahead are simply too great to overcome. At the same time, fear works alongside doubt, creating anxiety about the future and magnifying every possible negative outcome. Together, they form a powerful combination that can weaken confidence and discourage progress if left unchecked. Fear often begins with uncertainty. People naturally want to know what lies ahead. They want assurance that everything will work out according to their plans. When certainty is unavailable, fear steps in to fill the gap. It creates scenarios that have not happened and may never happen. It focuses attention on potential failures rather than possible victories. As fear grows stronger, it influences thoughts, emotions, and eventually words. A person who constantly listens to fear may begin speaking as though defeat is already guaranteed, even though the outcome has not yet been determined. Doubt works in a similar way. Rather than making direct statements, it often raises questions. It challenges confidence and weakens conviction. It causes people to second-guess decisions, question their abilities, and reconsider goals they once pursued with enthusiasm. Doubt can be particularly dangerous because it often appears reasonable. It presents itself as caution or realism, but over time it can quietly erode confidence until a person loses the courage to move forward. The problem with both fear and doubt is that they focus almost entirely on limitations. They direct attention toward everything that could go wrong while ignoring everything that could go right. They encourage people to dwell on obstacles rather than opportunities. When this perspective dominates, even small challenges can appear impossible to overcome. The mind becomes trapped in a cycle of negativity where every setback is viewed as proof that success is unattainable. Faith breaks this cycle by introducing a different perspective. Faith does not deny the existence of obstacles, but it refuses to give them ultimate authority. It acknowledges uncertainty while maintaining confidence that solutions can emerge. It recognizes challenges without allowing those challenges to determine the future. Instead of asking, "What if everything goes wrong?" faith asks, "What if things can still work out?" This shift in thinking creates room for hope, perseverance, and courage. Overcoming doubt and fear is rarely a one-time event. It is an ongoing process that requires intentional effort. Fear may return repeatedly, especially during difficult seasons. Doubt may continue raising questions whenever circumstances become challenging. The key is learning not to surrender every time these voices appear. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move forward despite fear. Confidence is not the absence of doubt. It is the choice to keep believing even when questions remain unanswered. The words a person speaks play a significant role in this process. When fear speaks, faith must answer. When doubt predicts failure, faith must respond with expectation. Each time a person chooses hopeful words instead of fearful ones, they strengthen their confidence. Each time they refuse to repeat messages of defeat, they weaken the influence of fear and doubt over their lives. Gradually, a new pattern develops, one where confidence becomes stronger than uncertainty and hope becomes louder than fear. Those who learn to overcome doubt and fear discover a freedom that transforms the way they approach life's challenges. They stop allowing temporary circumstances to control their expectations. They stop making decisions based solely on anxiety and begin acting with greater confidence and purpose. While fear and doubt may still appear from time to time, they no longer hold the final word. Faith becomes the dominant voice, providing strength to continue moving forward even when the path ahead remains unclear. Some situations in life appear so difficult that they seem beyond hope. People encounter challenges that stretch their strength, test their patience, and push them to the limits of what they believe is possible. There are moments when circumstances look completely unchanged, despite every effort made to improve them. In such seasons, discouragement can easily take root. Negative thoughts begin to grow. Hope starts to fade. And many people find themselves speaking words that reflect frustration rather than expectation. Yet it is precisely during these moments that the importance of speaking life becomes most evident. Speaking life into impossible situations means choosing words that inspire hope, confidence, and perseverance even when circumstances suggest the opposite. Words have a remarkable influence on the way people think and respond to challenges. They do not merely communicate feelings, they also reinforce beliefs. When a person constantly speaks about failure, disappointment, and defeat, those ideas gradually become stronger in the mind. The situation begins to feel even more impossible because every conversation reinforces the same negative expectation. Over time, discouragement becomes the dominant perspective, making it difficult to recognize opportunities or potential solutions. Speaking life interrupts this cycle. Instead of continually focusing on everything that is wrong, it shifts attention toward possibility. It does not deny that difficulties exist, nor does it pretend that challenges are easy. Rather, it refuses to accept hopelessness as the final conclusion. It recognizes that circumstances can change, that solutions can emerge unexpectedly, and that what appears impossible today may not remain impossible forever. Many of the greatest achievements in history were accomplished by people who refused to surrender to negative expectations. They faced obstacles that others considered insurmountable. They encountered opposition, setbacks, and repeated disappointments. Yet they continued speaking with confidence about what could be achieved, rather than dwelling exclusively on what stood in their way. Their words reflected belief rather than defeat, and that belief gave them the determination to keep moving forward when others would have given up. Impossible situations often create pressure that tempts people to abandon hope. Delays can make progress seem unlikely. Repeated setbacks can create the impression that success is out of reach. During these times, words become especially important because they help determine whether a person continues moving forward or stops trying altogether. Someone who continually speaks hopelessness will eventually begin acting hopelessly. On the other hand, someone who consistently speaks life develops the resilience needed to persevere through difficult seasons. Speaking life also affects the people around us. Encouraging words have the ability to strengthen those who are struggling and inspire those who feel discouraged. A hopeful perspective can spread confidence throughout families, friendships, and communities. When people hear words filled with faith and expectation, they are often reminded that challenges do not have to define their future. Hope becomes contagious, creating an environment where perseverance is encouraged rather than abandoned. The most powerful aspect of speaking life is that it keeps the heart focused on possibility. It reminds people that present circumstances are temporary and that difficult seasons do not last forever. It encourages patience during delays and confidence during uncertainty. Even when immediate results are not visible, life-giving words help maintain a positive outlook and prevent discouragement from taking control. Impossible situations may seem overwhelming, but they are often transformed by individuals who refuse to surrender their hope. They choose words that build rather than destroy, encourage rather than discourage, and inspire rather than defeat. By speaking life consistently, they develop the strength to endure challenges, the courage to continue believing, and the determination to keep moving forward. In this way, words become more than simple expressions. They become instruments of hope that help carry people through even the most difficult circumstances until breakthrough and change eventually arrive. One of the greatest challenges people face is maintaining faith when results do not appear immediately. Many individuals begin a journey filled with confidence, enthusiasm, and expectation. But as time passes and visible change seems slow, discouragement begins to set in. What once felt certain now feels uncertain. Questions begin to arise, patience is tested, and the temptation to give up becomes stronger. Yet mountain-moving faith is not measured by how confidently a person begins. It is measured by how faithfully they continue. The ability to remain steadfast during seasons of waiting is what often separates those who experience breakthroughs from those who stop too soon. Persistence is one of the clearest expressions of genuine faith. Anyone can believe for a short period when emotions are high and hope feels fresh. The true test comes when days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months, and the desired outcome still has not appeared. During these moments, many people become frustrated because they expect immediate results. When their expectations are not met according to their preferred timeline, they assume nothing is happening. However, faith understands that progress is not always visible and that important developments often occur long before results can be seen. Life consistently demonstrates the value of persistence. Farmers do not plant seeds one day and expect a harvest the next. Builders do not lay a foundation and expect a finished structure immediately. Athletes do not train once and expect championship-level performance. In every area of life, meaningful results require consistency, patience, and perseverance. The same principle applies to faith. Growth, change, and breakthrough often require continued belief, even when visible evidence appears limited. One reason people struggle with persistence is that they allow temporary circumstances to determine their expectations. When they encounter setbacks, they assume failure is inevitable. When progress slows, they conclude that their efforts are pointless. Yet setbacks do not necessarily mean defeat. Delays do not necessarily mean denial. Obstacles do not necessarily mean the journey is over. Faith recognizes that challenges are part of the process rather than proof that success is impossible. Persistent faith continues speaking words of confidence even during difficult seasons. It refuses to allow disappointment to dictate its outlook. While others may become discouraged by what they do not see, persistent faith remains focused on what is still possible. It understands that giving up guarantees failure, while perseverance keeps the door open for future success. Every day, a person chooses to continue believing. They strengthen their resilience and develop greater endurance. There is also a powerful transformation that occurs within people who practice persistent faith. The journey itself often develops qualities that could not be gained any other way. Patience grows stronger. Character becomes more refined. Confidence becomes less dependent on circumstances and more rooted in conviction. Through persistence, people learn to trust the process even when they cannot fully understand it. They discover that faith is not simply about receiving results, it is also about becoming stronger while waiting for those results to arrive. Many breakthroughs occur at the point where people are most tempted to quit. Just before progress becomes visible, discouragement often reaches its highest level. This is why persistence is so important. Those who continue moving forward despite uncertainty place themselves in a position to experience opportunities that would have been missed had they stopped. They understand that success is often closer than it appears, and that perseverance can carry them through moments when emotions alone cannot. Receiving results through persistent faith requires a commitment to remain hopeful, confident, and determined regardless of circumstances. It means choosing belief over discouragement, expectation over doubt, and perseverance over surrender. While the journey may not always be easy, those who remain steadfast discover that persistence has a way of producing results that temporary enthusiasm never could. Mountains are not moved by a moment of excitement alone. They are moved by unwavering faith that refuses to quit, refuses to lose hope, and refuses to stop believing until the breakthrough finally comes.